The most important thing I think is happening to our state right now is the prescription drug abuse. It's the #1 killer in our state. I can do more there, working with pharmaceuticals who are putting products out we shouldn't have on the market, to the FDA that's approving products that shouldn't be put on the market, to the doctors who are dispensing, not knowing the effects of what they're dispensing. So that's where I'm going to have more effect in drug abuse, and so that was part of my driving reason to stay. Well, we don't have an energy policy in the United States of America. We have a preference. This administration has a preference of what direction it wants to go, and the bottom line is not realistic. You know, I don't care whether it's Democrat or Republican. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And this doesn't make sense when you have over 80% of your energy coming from fossil. 80% of the energy of this country comes from fossil. And that's not going to deter any within the next 3 decades. The EIA, the Department of Energy, puts out their own statistics and forecasts, and they're saying, so you only have right now two fuels that'll base load. Base load means 24/7 rain or shine. That's coal and nuclear. Gas will get there. It's not there yet because we don't have the distribution for gas to be a base load, but it will get there. So right now you depend on those two. Well, this administration is picking winners and losers by basically saying what they prefer. They prefer more of a renewable energy. I'm for wind, I'm for solar, I'm for anything that works, but not disproportionately when I can't depend on it. So I've got to take care of my base. My base is coal and natural gas right now in our state, and I've got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to develop a new technology to use it clean. And I'm pro-life, always have been pro-life, and that's my belief, not because of my religion, it's my belief. I voted for the funding to go ahead the first time when I first got there, probably there a year or two. And a lot of my friends and supporters were very upset with me, got very mad at me about that on Planned Parenthood. But I could not find a reason not to. The money, Hyde Amendment, okay, so we were fine on that. Didn't find it transferring over. This comes along, and I've seen all the documentation, I've seen all the films, and all the class, everything that's out there, maybe things that people haven't seen. And there was no way, and I asked for an investigation immediately. I said, do an investigation. Let's find out if it's just a rogue outfit, one or two, or if it permeates throughout the whole organization. Well, we don't have an investigation that's been done yet or completed. We have the findings of that. So the only thing we had in front of us to vote for is fund or defund. Well, I'm going to vote to defund until I find out, because there's no way I can tolerate or accept what was going on or how it was going on, or if that's just the mode of operandi. And that's the reason I voted and stayed in that direction. Now, when there's an investigation coming out, finding out, and if there's action taken, then we look at what we have to look at, then make a decision. Myself and Mark Kirk introduced legislation that basically put tougher sanctions as financial sanctions on all, freezing all their money that we get our hands on, and that was on the nuclear proliferation. They were moving towards a nuclear arms. We've already had sanctions on. We've had sanctions on since basically this regime, this fanatic regime, took over in 1979. So in 1979, they have never parted away with their terroristic operations, support of terrorism, being one of the most proliferated terrorist support groups in the world, 36 years. Never once have you seen them veer away from that. Yeah, we've never had a country such as Iran, with the leadership Iran has, that are determined to do as much harm in the world as they are, especially in that part of the world, but directly to Americans and basically spelling it out. Death to Americans. We've never had that. I can just see this whole thing becoming muddled to the point of saying, okay, wait a minute, we didn't violate that. This was part of the agreement. You're supposed to release it. You didn't release it. You put them back on. And then you come back with a vengeance and you put everything on terrorists and on human rights. So I mean, it was something that I said, there's no way. We could have had a better deal than this, a much better deal than this. I'm a strong defender of the Second Amendment rights. As far as gun control, it's not gun control. We were just talking gun sense. So what happened is there's people that believe and a lot of them in my side of the party, the Democrat side, that would like to either ban certain weapons, ban magazines, ban all these things. And I said, you know what? You're never going to have anyone sit down seriously and listen to you to try to work out something that's reasonable. If you take the approach just because I own a gun, or that I enjoy going hunting, or that I want to collect guns, that I'm a criminal. If you look at me like I've done something wrong or I'm going to do something wrong just because I have that desire, then I would say, why'd you buy that car out there? It has 140 on the speed on there. You know, why are you able to go buy all this fancy? Well, you can go anywhere in the country and buy that car, no restrictions. So basically, a collector is a collector, or something, you know, whatever we desire. But so we started talking, and I had one of the senators on my side say, Joe, I grew up in an area where I didn't know anybody that owned a gun. I says, well, I grew up in one I know anybody that didn't have a gun. It's just the different cultures that we have. And I said, I can assure you, a law-abiding gun owner, and the ones I grew up with and the ones that taught me, they would not sell their gun to a stranger. They would not sell their gun to a criminal. They would not sell their gun to someone they would consider mentally unstable. They would not even give their gun to a family member who wasn't responsible. Just the way you were raised. I says, until you can accept us as that, responsible, law-abiding gun owners doing the right thing, we're never going to get past any of this stuff. We're looking at anything and everything that makes sense. And if it makes sense, that, I mean, I really think that a lot of it's mental illness. I don't think we do much in this country. Being able to help someone, you know, a person who's mentally ill doesn't need a gun, they need help. They need medical help. Again, it's not the weapon. You know, they'll use all types of weapons, I guess. Most of these weapons we've been hearing these last horrific tragedies have been mostly handguns.
And so they gathered, what, 13 up from the last guy?
Yeah.
He probably need to get his hands on a Uzi. So.
It's just unbelievable. The whole thing is that we have this much instability and you know, just a reasonable path of just saying, okay, background checks at gun shows and on internet, commercial transactions. You don't know the person, they don't know you. You don't know the purpose. Since you don't know the person, you know the purpose why they want it. That made sense. That Joe Biden is the most beautiful person. I hope he doesn't get in a race. I'm one selfish person who likes him and considers him a friend, that I would hope he doesn't. He's been down that road a few times. I went to the funeral. I attended the funeral of his son, Beau. I saw, you know, you see the heartache and what they've gone through as a family. And I just think right now he's well thought of. He'll go out on top, and he should. I think that Hillary has the ability to do the job and do it well. I know there's a lot of consternation on that from people talking about all the different things. I just know that she has the ability. I've always been able to talk and work with them. I don't agree with her on some issues, and definitely some positions she's just taken here recently I think are just dead wrong. But I've been able to sit down and work through. I can work through it. I've had an open access. I haven't had open access with this administration and this president. So I base it on that. On the Republican side, I'm probably closer to Jeb. I know we traveled together. We were governors. So we became pretty good friends. So I know Jeb, and he's most capable. I don't know John Kasich that well. With that being said, Kasich is they tell me, he's most capable. Marco Rubio is a delightful young person, and he's very bright, and he's a comer. He's a real comer, whether it's now or later, whatever it would be. I just think that the inexperience right now, I don't know if the country's going to get swept up in the movement, if you will, you know, and not have the experience backing that goes with that.